Senior political analyst Brit Hume is here tonight. Good evening, Brit. With all this tension, let me ask you about how this administration is playing it and your thoughts.
Well, the one thing we've seen, Brett, is a distinct show of force and the willingness to use it. That doesn't mean that when it comes to North Korea or even the Mideast that the president will go much beyond what he's already done. But it does at least raise, I suspect the administration feels, in the eyes of foreign leaders, friendly and unfriendly alike, the idea that the United States is poised to back up its diplomacy with the potential use of force. In the Korean situation, it's always been assumed, as John Roberts pointed out, that there's no real military option for dealing with North Korea because of the possibility that even just using conventional weapons and artillery, the North could launch a devastating attack on Seoul and its tens of millions of inhabitants in that whole area. It's only about 30 miles south of the border, 30 miles south of that demilitarized zone there. And so it was always thought that there was no way to counteract that. We couldn't put forces in place. We once had nuclear forces, remember, Brett, until about 1991. We had nuclear forces, tactical nuclear weapons in place to deal with that. So it's not clear what the president would do or could do, but for the longest time, administrations, as John Roberts pointed out, gave ground to the North in various deals. It didn't work out. Mike Morrell, remember Mike Morrell, who was the CIA chief under Obama for a while, he was saying over the weekend that Trump is making things worse, making the crisis worse, as if things had gotten better and the threat from the North hadn't grown over the past 8 years. Well, it certainly did. So this looks like an effort to try something new.
Yeah, we were looking at Vice President Pence along the border with North Korea there in the demilitarized zone. You know, China is always seen, Britt, to be key to the negotiations. They have, in previous administrations, really not gotten off the ball on that. Now you hear from the Trump administration that the meeting down in Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach went pretty well from their assessment, and they believe China is moving. Do you?
Well, there's some sign of that, Brett. We understand that coal shipments from North Korea, a very important export to their economy, have been stopped. Coal shipments to China. That would be a very big deal if that were followed up and that really amounted to something. China obviously has an interest in stopping North Korea from being the worst kind of troublemaker it can be. On the other hand, if there was some kind of real conflict and the collapse of that regime, the Chinese have long feared there'd be massive number of refugees crossing their border. They don't want that. So the Chinese have always been a little tentative in their dealings with North Korea, but they certainly have more influence on North Korea economically and perhaps otherwise as well than any other country. So certainly trying to get China more actively involved is worth a try, and it seems at least at first here to be some first steps here toward the Chinese doing that.
Britt, as always, thank you.
You bet, Brett.